Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Guess what came through the post today? I've got none other than the new palette. So we've had the holiday release from Makeup by Mario and his team. Of course, it's the Ethereal Eyes Nature palette. So last year we had the Moonlit palette or something, and this year we've got the Nature palette. This palette is inspired by nature, so there's some more green tones in here, etc, etc. Essentially, it is a neutral palette, but I think there's some pops of colours this year, and I'm super excited to see what the palette's looking like, do some swatches for you guys. The main question in my head is, how does this compare to the OG Ethereal Eyes, like the first ever OG palette that was released? Because the pictures are looking like there could be some similarities in shades. So if you've got the OG palette, I'm not sure how you feel about the new one. On this year's box we've got a nice cute signature from Mario himself, quite a nice touch. It's unlikely that people are going to keep this packaging though, but it's a cute addition nonetheless. This is the palette. What do you guys think? Here's a close-up of it. Usual £12 palette, and this is the interesting row in this year's palette. We've got some green shades, we've got a kind of like a burgundy reddish purple tone going on here. The nice thing about this year's palette is also that the middle two rows are completely topper slash shimmer metallic shades, aka non-matte shades, and then the sides here have the matte shades. This one looks like it's a matte with like the sparkles, specks of glitter running through them. So I'm curious to see how that would translate on the eyes, whether you would actually see much of the glitter appear at all. I'm gonna pull out my old OG Ethereal Eyes. I literally used it yesterday for a photo shoot that I had, and it's one of my favourite palettes. It's so versatile and yeah, just a stunning palette. I think the first release of the Makeup by Mario palettes were metal packaging, and I believe this one is plastic, but you can't really tell the difference. It still feels weighted, still feels nice and heavy and luxurious. So here is the OG Ethereal Eyes. Neutral lovers like paradise, basically. It's got all the neutral shades that you would need. And then this palette only has 3 of those kind of toppery shades, 1 more kind of glitter shade, and then this one's a metallic. The ratio of mattes to non-mattes in this palette, so you've got 7 mattes in this palette and 5 kind of non-matte metallic topper shimmer shades. Kind of done a role reversal really. More shimmers in this one, less shimmers in this one. So that is the biggest difference right off the bat. This is OG against the new Nature palette, and this is a side-by-side look. So shall we get to swatching? I'm really excited for the swatches. As with Mario's fashion, there's no actual shade names. They kind of just have numbers. So the OG palettes are all EE1, EE2, aka Ethereal Eyes 1, Ethereal Eyes 2, and then the new palette is EEN, so Ethereal Eyes Nature 1, 2, 3, etc, etc. So you've got the shade numbers at the back here. Let's get cracking. So we've got the first shade here, so that is the matte with the sparkles kind of running through it. Don't know if you guys can see that. Creamy formula. And let's go across like this. So next we've got the first sort of, I think that's a metallic shade. Doesn't look like a topper shade. Huh, okay. Thinner than I was expecting actually, as I'm swatching it here. Yeah, it's like thinner than I was expecting. I'm gonna go and just build that up a little bit more. I've been trying to swatch them on the inner part of my hand, but I'm having a hard time showing the shades to you guys because obviously I can't twist my arm. I'm going to go again and swatch them out on the back of my hand because that makes more sense. So I'm just going to go through and basically pick up the 4 shades and swatch them, and then I'll show you. So those are the first 4 shades from the top row. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a difference in the formula. Like, I'm feeling that the topper shades aren't that OG formula, so it's going to be interesting to see how these will translate on the eyes. They're more subdued, I feel like. The mattes feel the same, like creamy, and how the old school formula was. Still doing a terrible job at swatching these. Okay, those are the first 4. I'm going to go through and pick up the next 4. Like, I feel like I'm having to go round to get the same payoff as the old palette. So the mattes are the same for sure, but the shimmers, there's a definite difference. That shade is stunning despite the difference in formula, but that's one of the softer, creamier shades, I feel like. Next 4 on the middle row. So we're going to just pick these up. I'm quite excited to see that burgundy shade as well. And then a dark brown. That one swatched nice. Pigment on that one is really nice. Oh, and that one's a very dark brown. Just going to build up this second shade again. Okay, so there you have it. That is the palette all swatched. Definite difference in the formula. I feel like the shimmer topper shades aren't quite the same. They're thinner. The mattes are exactly the same, really creamy, really punchy, powerful, but I feel like the shimmers are just, I don't know, they're taking a little bit more building up in comparison to the old palettes. And apart from this shade and this shade, these two, there's just something that feels different about the shimmers and the metallics in this palette. So, right, I'm going to swatch the old OG Ethereal Eyes palette on this arm. Right, so this is the OG palette, all swatched up. I'm realising that the Nature palette, the new palette, is more so the formula of the toppers and the shimmers are more so like the thin shadows here, and not so much as creamy as like this one, which when you put your finger in it, it feels like creamier to the touch, or this one, which is a definite like metallic shade. Feeling very similar, possibly even thinner than these topper shades from the original palette. So that's quite interesting that it doesn't feel as metallic-y or creamy, most of these shades in the new palette. But saying that, you know, you've got such a lovely colour story and colour range here. I love the pop of green. Side by side, this is the Nature and this is the OG Ethereal Eyes. So you can see there are some similar shades, in particular in the mattes. So like the cream shades, the brown shade at the bottom, like the darker shades are slightly different. This year's palette is definitely cooler and a little bit more brown earthy, but the lighter mattes at the top, quite similar. There's possibly a bit more rosiness involved in the OG palette. It seems like it's an extension from the OG palette. It's not as cool toned as last year's Ethereal Eyes, the Moonlit palette. That was very cool toned and it had pops of blue in it. This, I'd call them like sister palettes to each other. There are some similarities in them, but they're not completely the same shades. So here it is. Take a screenshot if you guys want to see and zoom in to any of the swatches. I think the only shades that look very similar swatched out are possibly these two browns, possibly are the most similar from the two palettes. If I show you them sort of side by side, you know, swatching them out, even very similar. But I think that's the only shade that kind of even crosses or comes, you know, as similar as they could. All the other mattes, they're either a little bit more grey in the OG palette or earthy brown in the new palette. It's up to you guys to decide what you think is worth it, whether you think you want to invest in the new one or you're happy with the old neutrals and you'd just rather add a pop of green to this from an existing palette that you already have, instead of going out and buying an entire new palette. But let's see how this translates on the eyes, because that could tell us a whole different story. So I'm going to be creating some eye looks with this, and yeah, super excited. Let's go. Right, I've just pinned my hair back so it's not getting in the way of me doing my eyeshadows. I'm going to start the base the same on both sides with some cream eyeshadow. So I'm just going to pop that on, blend it out with my fingers, and then we can dip into the eyeshadow palettes. So let's crack in. Right, let's start dipping in I am super excited. Let's do 2 different eye looks to see what we can get from this palette. Actually, I think I love the green next to this sort of red toned burgundy shade. I think that will go really well together. Let's do that as an eye look. Let's see what colourful look we can get out of the palette, and then we can see kind of what neutral look we can get from the palette as well. Setting up the transition shade, I'm going to go in with this shade here, which is the less rosier kind of matte shade that we've got. So we're going to just start by buffing that into the crease area and just build that up. I don't think there's a difference in the matte formulas because they felt the same as the OG Ethereal Eyes swatching them. So I think the matte shades, the formula is the same. It's the shimmer ones that I'm a bit curious about to see how they're going to pick up and perform on the eyes. I'm going to go in with this shade here. It's that beige kind of shade, and then I'm going to go into my brow bone. I'm going to go into this matte brown here, and again I'm keeping away from the rosier tones because I feel like the rosier tones you can kind of get that look with the OG palette as well. So I'm keeping it more towards the earthier tones, and we're just going to build that into the outer third. They blend beautifully, like really soft, no struggle there whatsoever. Back into the kind of nude, it's almost like my skin tone colour, that shade. Bring that back into focus here, and we're going to pick up the dark brown. This is definitely more cool toned than the OG palettes brown, as you saw in the swatches. Really soft though, so the blend is not difficult at all. Just to deepen the outer third here. I do want to try and apply the shimmers with a brush so we can see how they perform. I'm gonna take a flat brush and I'm gonna go into the burgundy shade. I'm gonna pick some of that up on the brush, and we're gonna just pop that from like the middle of my eye towards the outer third. Okay, so that's how it's applying with the brush. I'm going to pick up some more. It's actually applying really smoothly with a brush. Just want to pick some up with my finger as well though, and see what the payoff is like with a finger. A little bit punchier, and you get that shine come through a little bit more when you press it in with your finger. It's almost like the warmth of the finger just kind of brings out the shininess of the formula. A lot softer in terms of the shimmer than the OG palette, so interesting. Feather it out onto the outer third as well. So that's what we've got at the moment. I really want to go in with this bright green shade that is the star of the palette, so we're going to pick that up on the brush again and see how this applies with a brush. And here goes. Okay, that is the stunningness of the palette. Can you see that? And that's with a brush. I'm going to pick up some more. We're just going to kind of tap it in, and I'm almost going to just merge that into that burgundy. Wow, that looks stunning. I wish you guys can see. I don't know if that camera is even picking it up. I'm going to go in with the finger as well, and we're going to just press that in. Oh yeah, definitely punchier with the finger. Oh wow, okay. I'm gonna just bring that burgundy shade back to the forefront. I think the green slightly took over, but I kind of want to mix them in together. And then we're gonna go back in to the green and just lightly tap over the middle part there. That is stunning formula for that green shade. I'm so glad that they've managed to make that punchy. Like, it's punchy and soft at the same time. Like the way it's just picking up the light, so difficult to explain unless you've actually tried this formula on your eyes. It's just so beautiful. I want to go into another shade for the inner corner. Thinking, what is this gonna look like? Let's try that. So I'm gonna pick that one up and we're gonna just pop that like into the inner corner bit. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit more olive than leafy green, if that makes sense. It's an interesting shade. I'm gonna actually bring that up into this kind of crease area here. I think that would look quite nice above that leafy green. Okay, and I am gonna go in with my finger as well to see if we can bring out the punchiness of the shade. So I'm just gonna literally press that in the inner corner there. Okay, yeah, definitely a bit more olive green. So this is definitely a bit more olive green, and that one is like a leafy green. Side by side next to each other, they look stunning. That is a different eye look. I have not done a colourful kind of green eye look in a while, but that is like a wearable green eye look. It's fun, it's playful, but at the same time it's just, yeah, wearable. Like I don't look out of place. Wow, okay, so that is one look done. For the other side of my eye, we're going to stick to the more neutral tones so we can see what kind of a neutral tone we can get with this. I'm guessing in comparison to the OG, like this one's a little bit rosier, a little bit cooler. I think we're going to get something a bit more neutral, warm, base leaning with this palette. Okay, actually, let's bring some of that rosiness in. So I'm going to start off with that rosy pink shade. Yeah, you can see the kick up there a little bit, can you not? That rosy shade is building up really nicely. It's actually really punchy. It's like a pink toned nude. Again, these mattes are creamy and yeah, it's performing how I'd expect Mario's mattes to perform. So I know that shade has like the sparkles kind of going through the formula, but I think it won't really show up when you blend it out. So I'm going to put that in the brow bone area. Those tiny specks of glitter tend to just kind of flick away with the brush. So actually I could be wrong because I can see that. Yeah, it's not completely flicking away. It is actually kind of showing up in the formula, especially as you build it up. So there is only one brown shade in this tone range, if that makes sense. Like in the medium tone ranges, like these mattes are too light, these mattes are too light for my outer third, that is too dark. So there is only one matte brown in that tone range available, but I'm thinking mixed in with that rosy pink, it's probably going to make it look a little more rosy. That's building up really nicely. I'm going to add the tiniest bit of that one and really try to keep that as close to the lash line as possible, just to kind of give my lash line a little bit more base, bit of smokiness. So I'm going to go with these three now. That is definitely the deeper shimmer. Let's pick that up with the flat brush and we're going to press that into the outer third. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit more. It's not showing up as much with a flat brush. I'm picking up some more. Okay, I'm going to pick it up with my finger and we're going to just press it in with my finger to see what payoff we can get. A little bit more, but that is a very subtle kind of toned down topper shimmer. It's an interesting shade. It has like a browny base, but it's not kind of picking up as brown. Right, we're going to go in with this shade for the middle portion of our eye with the flat brush first. Okay, side by side those shades look really nice actually. It's giving a really nice gradient, but again these shimmers are a little more seemingly subtle almost. I'm gonna pick that up with my finger. Okay, that one is definitely punchier with the finger, so that's good. And then the lightest shimmer out of them all, which is like a pale, almost champagne-y kind of gold colour. Oh wow, okay. Picking up a little bit more. I feel like these formulas work better tapping in. Like you don't want to spread or swipe, you almost just want to tap, and that is very interesting. I'm going to build that up with my finger again, so let's go into that shade with my pinky and see how much payoff we get with the finger. Picking up a bit more. On the eyes, it's a very subtle difference between these two, I think. I'm going to try and build up that middle shade a little bit more and see if we can bring the punchiness and the shade out. Going in with the crease brush again, I'm just gently bringing back the crease colour so we've got a little bit more definition on the crease there. In terms of inner corner highlight for this eye look, I'm gonna keep it to that light shade and see if we can get it built up a little bit in that inner corner area. I'm gonna bring my finger in. Yeah, a lot more punchier with the finger. I'm going to quickly do the lower lash line for both eyes. I think for this eye look, I'm going to try the burgundy here. Might be a tad bit risky, but I think that'll look really nice on the lower lid. So let's give it a go. I know it is a shimmer, but you can use shimmer shadows on the bottom eyelid. It's been a while since I've done that actually. I used to do that all the time. And for my left side, I'm going to bring in this rosy shade and we're going to do that on the bottom lash line. And then I'm also going to bring in the warmer brown. Okay. And that's it, guys. 2 eyeshadow looks. That is the looks we're getting with the new Ethereal Eyes Nature palette. I'm absolutely loving this side, the green and the burgundy next to each other. I think that's genius. I'm loving this column here. That is what's making the palette for me. That shade in particular is the Star Show, but the 2 shades alongside it, I think they complement that green, leafy green really well. I'm going to put some mascara on so you guys can get a little bit of a fuller effect of how the eye look has turned out. So just give me a moment, I'll be back. Right guys, here we are. I've applied mascara and this is the completed eye looks with the new Ethereal Eyes Nature palette, and I have to say this eye look is looking stunning. You can find this green shade in another palette, but I don't know whether you can quite get the same effect that this green is, you know, it has on the eyelid itself. It's like so subtle, yet so vibrant at the same time, and it's quite tricky to kind of explain. It's that soft kind of topper-ish shade. It's got a little bit of a chromatic kind of appearance to it. It's, you know, sheerer but so vibrant at the same time. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. It's sheer and vibrant at the same time. It's such a stunning shade. However, whether you want to pick up an entire palette just for this one shade, you can probably get a similar effect of this shadow, and you know, in another eyeshadow palette or an eyeshadow single. I know that there's a lot of brands now doing a lot of like chrome type shadows, a lot of topper type shadows that come out as singles. So yeah, you can definitely maybe try and get this kind of an eyeshadow look, this green shade in particular, in another single format, in another brand that possibly does these kind of green topper shades. So I'll leave it to you guys to decide whether you want to go ahead and get this palette. It's beautiful, but you know, it's your decision whether you're going to spend that on a palette right now, whether you'd rather wait and see what comes out for the holidays. But again, these are the palettes side by side, the OG and the Nature, Ethereal Eyes, and yeah, I will leave you with that school of thought. I'll see you guys in my next video soon. Hopefully it'll be an exciting one. I was stoked when this came through. I just couldn't wait to get it on my eyes, and here they are. So yes, I'll catch you guys in another video soon, and I hope you guys are having a lovely day, a wonderful day, wherever and whenever you guys are watching this. Always let the light in and let your creativity flow. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.